Greetings, and welcome to The World According to Pleiades on KFUG Radio in Crescent City, California, 101.1 FM. The 1-hour weekly radio program that covers everything from alternative medicine, hypnosis, meditation, success, human interaction, alien abduction, and the question of, what is reality anyway? To name but a few. Welcome, this is Sean Russell.
Thank you very much.
And we have Joan Warren. And, well, I've just recently realized, with Joan's help, actually, that Sean Russell is a very interesting person, and I was, just really intrigued and excited to find out if I could even get Sean to come by for an interview. And it turns out that I can because he's here.
Yeah.
And so I just want to really say thank you. And where would you like to begin?
Well, let's just go ahead and start at the beginning here. The first thing you wanted to know about me was my grandfather or my father wrote Grizzly Adams.
Yeah.
And that was my dad. And he did write a book called The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams.
Okay, and is that what they based that that movie and the series on and all that?
Yeah, and he actually wrote a number of the episodes.
Nice.
And I was able to meet Dan Haggerty when I was a lot younger.
What was that like for you?
He's a big old hippie.
Yeah?
Or he was a big old hippie, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I actually met him a few times down in Topanga Canyon. He was in that crowd back in the hippie days, and with the Canned Heat and the band, the Canned Heat, and like I said, he was an old-timey hippie. That's why he looked the part so well.
Ah, okay.
That's what he looked like normally.
It wasn't makeup.
No, that was Dan. And my dad worked for years at Disney. Started a movie called Charlie the Lonesome Cougar. My dad's name was Brian Russell. And he later went on to form his own production company called Better Row out of Tucson, Arizona. And he's an accomplished writer. Went to the Pasadena Playhouse right after World War II when he got out of the service. And continued from there and started writing short things for Reader's Digest. And then he did a couple of Twilight Zone episodes.
That's pretty awesome.
And then Lassie, wrote a bunch of those.
Wait, I want to hear more about the Twilight Zone. Do you remember what episodes those might have been? Or?
I was probably so young, I have no idea.
Okay, well,
no idea.
Lassie is cool too.
Yeah,
but Twilight Zone, that was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He had also written some of those episodes on Truth.
The thing that was on the Oxygen Channel. Miracles and other things like that. It's
Miracles and Wonders. Or something like that.
Miracles and Wonders. It was about life after death.
Oh, okay.
And experiences. And he also, he wrote a conspiracy book on JFK and ran around with one of the Secret Service guys in Dallas for about 8 months down there with this person. And did the research.
Okay.
And he was able to find out some very interesting facts. In fact, it's very good reading.
Wow. And
today.
He actually lived to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was things that were talked about in his book that you've probably never heard before.
Interesting. Did you know if there was any kind of problem getting that information published, or was it pretty easy? Or
yeah, he got that published probably in the 80s. So it was, everybody pretty much accepted the facts that were laid out to the public, and which weren't true at all.
Gee, what a shocker that would be, right?
Yeah. But anyhow, that's my dad, and he, like I say, he worked for years at Disney. We were able, when we were kids, my brother and I, to go to the studios in Buena Vista and run around. and where the writers and everybody did the work, the sound stage and everything, and the roads were called like Dopey Avenue and Cinderella Street. And it was pretty cool for little kids.
Yeah, wicked cool. Be cool for me as an adult.
He also did the technical writing on Jungle Book.
Okay.
The big Jungle Book hit of Disney's.
Yeah.
And Brian and I, my brother, were able to go down to the Man's Chinese Theater for the grand opening, and got dressed up as well as little kids could. You know, wear sport coats and Levi's, but we got to go down there and see that grand opening, which was quite something.
Wow, that does sound special for real. What as you say it now, I mean, you must be kind of seeing it in your head at the same time.
Yeah, I was like in awe.
Yeah.
Speechless. Because I knew, even as a little kid, I knew it was
a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal. All the searchlights and stuff was pretty cool.
I can see it now, and I wasn't even there.
Yeah.
I must be picking it up from you.
Yeah.
We're having like
I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah, we're having like a mind meld.
Yeah. And, but it's like the whole family's been in some kind of, in the public eye. My great-grandfather started the newspapers and ran with some nefarious characters and good people too.
When you say nefarious characters, does anyone come to mind, or can you really not mention that kind of thing?
No, of course they're long dead. The Dalton brothers.
Okay.
And
there's a name brand.
They were, your idea of the Dalton brothers was they were an outlaw gang, in the Wild West. But actually, I think it was either Tom and Emmett were both deputy marshals.
Huh.
And went from lawmen to thievery and banditry because the money was better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to touch that.
Yeah. But I got an article from one of the writers that my grandfather started the Osage News in Oklahoma back in 1870s. Yeah. And then he came out here to the West Coast, and that's how he'd run into Kit Carson and Dirty Dick here, or Deadwood Dick, and started the Ventura the Ventura Free Press.
Okay. And what's Deadwood Dick?
Deadwood Dick is actually he's a bad guy. But he wrote a letter to my grandfather. He was doing his autobiography, my great-grandfather. And this was to let him know that what he had written down so far matched his records. Because at the time that he wrote this, he was 80 years old. And this was dated October 20th, 1927. And would you like to hear some of that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dear comrade, yours received okay. Would have answered before, but I just got in from a trip into the Bear Lodge country. Yes, your dates are as near as I got them in my brain. I met Wild Bill Hickok in Creek City about 4 days before he was killed, and Calamity Jane was not here at the time. He was married, Wild Bill Hickok was married to Madam Lake at the time. And the man in charge of the gang that Deadwood Dick was in, they let go, meaning, I don't know if they let him go or took him out, but his name was McCall, and their new leader was called McKindle. And you're right about the Mountain Herd, because that's the name of their gang, the Mountain Herd. And you probably met me as I was called Wild Dick before I got the name Deadwood Dick, which stuck till now. And I am the man that took off my buckskin shirt and baked bread for the gang in Cronkmere, wherever that is, when they got into the foothills and camped on the Big Bottom about 9 miles down from Wilderness Creek, I think. That's about it. Here at the bottom it says, I will be 80 years old the 15th of December.
Wow, there's a lot in that letter.
Yeah.
Oh, man, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for reading that.
Yeah. And so, like I said, he went on to start that paper, and then he got a the fever, I guess, that everybody had gotten back in that time. It was running pretty bad. I don't know if it was a typhoid or probably a typhoid. But he got really ill, so he went back to live with the Osage Indians. That he was also an Indian agent, and my great-grandmother was a teacher there at the agency school.
You know, growing up, you know, in the old movies and stuff like that, I would hear that term, Indian agent. But you know what? As you mention it now, it turns out I don't really know what that means. What is an Indian agent?
Indian agent is somebody that legally has permission by our government to deal directly with the Indians. And he describes himself as a cattleman. But like I said, he was a newspaper man, and then when he later, according to him, retired, which he never really did retire, he spent the later part of his years trying to help the Indians.
Nice.
And going to bat for them in the government and trying to get better treatment and food and realization of treaties that were ignored.
Oh my God! Yeah, noble effort.
Yeah,
it had to be frustrating as all get out.
Yeah, yeah. And well, my great grandmother was part Osage Indian. She was half Osage, so that pretty much got him into it. They really did take good care of him. They liked him. They had a nickname for him. I think they called him Little Brother. And they nursed him back to health. According to his memoirs, it took him about 2 years to get back to health. And then from then on, he started getting to the dabbling into the oil thing, which was really happening when it was a territory and not a state. And like I said, he went for the rest of his life trying to better their treatment. And which is good to know that my relative was not a cad and a user, but somebody that was trying to help.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually pretty huge.
It is. It's awesome because I see and have read how the mistreatment had run rampant, and it was all to do with greed. It always comes down to greed. But okay, that's my great grandfather in kind of a nutshell. That's my great grandmother right there.
Another picture I'll hold next to the microphone. There we go.
There we go. She's
that is cool. I love old photos.
She's kind of husky.
Well, I bet she could chop some wood.
Oh, they went through some stuff.
Yeah.
In his memoirs, he talks about how they had come out and to Illinois to start their family over. She lost her husband, his mother, my great grandfather's mother, and she took off with the kids into Illinois. And tried to start a new beginning and stuff. And he talks about when he was 4 years old, somebody had come out onto the property up on a hill and yelled out, "God bless Abe Lincoln," and the mall and mash his head in with. And my great grandfather asked his mom, "What is that about?" And he said, "It's because where we're from, they think we're Lincolnists." And everybody's political standing in those days was really looked upon. Everybody was in everybody's business. There wasn't any TV.
There wasn't any TV.
Yeah.
That's what people did.
Yeah.
Your neighbors were your live action.
Yeah. Come and call you names and.
Soap opera.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you. Vivian Vance is mentioned here. What's your connection with Vivian Vance?
Okay. Well, now we're down to my grandparents, and now it'd be John D. Wade and his wife Margaret, my grandma, and they met Vivian when my grandfather was playing in vaudeville, and Vivian was doing a comedy act in vaudeville, and they met and became friends, and friends all their lifelong friends. My grandma was holding her hand when Vivian died in San Francisco, and she was mine and my little brother's godmother.
Oh wow! So you actually got to hang out together.
Oh yeah.
Family, really.
Yeah. We stayed at her. She had a cabin in Taos, New Mexico, and we would go there sometimes during the summer and meet up with her and her husband at that time, Phil Ober, who was a situation actor or something like back in the movie days. He was in, what do you call it, From Here to Eternity, but he played a ship's captain or something like that.
Okay.
But he was a bit part actor. And but Vivian was quite something. She was a bubbly, energetic, happy, really funny woman. And which is weird because she had a lot of turmoil in her life. She had mental breakdowns and stuff. But she had hell of a career with Lucy, you know.
Yeah, for real.
And that was great growing up. I can remember she gave me an ice cream truck, a Good Humor ice cream truck when I was about 5. And it had ice creams in it. And that's my most favorite memory of Viv, was getting that ice cream.
When you're saying she gave you an ice cream truck, I mean it was a little toy ice cream truck.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so I wasn't sure, you know, because...
Gee, thanks, Viv.
she would have had money, so it's like... I wasn't sure if it was a toy truck with ice cream or she gave you a whole real truck, you know. So
that would have been something.
That would have been something for real.
And I actually brought some Vivian here with me, but I've got pictures of the studios. My grandfather went on to. There's Vivian and Jack Parr.
Oh, that's
the
cool.
Tonight Show.
That's a very cool picture.
Yeah, and that's my grandfather.
Jack Parr. So, he was the host of The Tonight Show at one time?
Yeah, he was the original host of The Tonight Show.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because like when I came on, it was like Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I remember the name Jack Parr
that's
from
him
being
right there.
before Johnny Carson. So that's really cool.
This is my, what do you call it? There's Vivian again. Right
Ooh,
there.
that's an awesome picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's them at the Republic Pictures sound studio.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the band there for 40 years after he got done playing on the road. But there's another. This is their cabin in Taos.
Nice.
Taos, New Mexico.
Very nice.
He played with a group leader named Smith Ballou. And when I was playing music with Southern Comfort Band in Texas, and I got to meet this guy. His name's Smith Ballou, and he had the Peabody Hotel Orchestra, and right there, and here's my grandfather right there, lead cornet, J.D. Wade.
Nice.
And playing right there next to him is Glenn Miller.
Okay, yeah, that's a keeper.
Yeah. And you see the price of this extravagant meal? It's $1.50 per person.
Oh my God!
With lobster thermidor.
Yeah. Back when $1 was actually worth something, right?
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Think about "In the Mood," which is a very popular song.
Oh yeah, it's like my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
For real.
He worked on that song.
For real?
Yeah.
I mean, like actually worked on creating it or something?
Yeah, did the original recording.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I think I need to hug you. That is so cool.
Isn't it?
That is wicked cool.
Yeah.
I mean, for real. It is. I've had so much fun with that song over the years.
Yeah, me too. I played it because I had a swing band when I was 12.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. How the heck did a 12-year-old create a swing band or get into it, or what?
It's because of my grandfather. He started me playing trumpet when I was 3. And I could read and write trumpet music by the time I was 5 years old.
Whoa.
And I had a music teacher in Thousand Oaks, California called Mr. Ackerman. And he kept on me about that trumpet because, of course, my grandfather knew the music teacher. And so I played and played and played and played and played. And by the time I was 12 years old, I could blow a trumpet. And he got together a bunch of the old boys from the Republic Pictures Orchestra and had me more or less kind of like a mascot. But it was a 13-piece orchestra, and I also played trumpet. And I played at one particular place, was Goebel's Jungle Land in Thousand Oaks, and I did the Canal Valley Beauty Pageant, and they had me get up there in front of the whole world.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I'd ever played out with my own band, so to speak, and I got stage fright.
Uh-oh.
And I couldn't pucker up my mouth.
Whoa.
Yeah.
A nightmare.
Yeah. And so I started crying, and I ran off the stage, And my grandfather got me. I was running by the lions, of all things. And he grabbed a hold of me. He said, you know what? You just hop right back on that horse. He said, no one's going to care. Just turn around, walk back up on that stage, put your trumpet up, and don't look at anybody. Yeah. Just look out there and start playing.
Okay.
And I did. And I've never gotten stage fright again.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
That is awesome.
The one and only. And it cured me.
What an experience. And that affected your entire life.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Been a ham bone and playing in front of people for the rest of my life, and I've never had to worry about stage fright. It's just something not in me.
Wow.
And I've watched other people. I can see by their actions that they're getting ready to lose it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I've actually been able to help a lot of musicians go, come on.
Yeah.
You're going to be all right.
So yeah, what would you give to as advice to somebody who's listening, whether they're public speaking or playing an instrument or whatever, on that issue of stage fright? What would you say to them?
Well, they always tell you, imagine everybody out there in their underwear, right?
Yeah.
I never did that. But it is the best thing to do is look over everybody's heads. Do not do any eye contact because that can direct you the wrong way. You want to keep your everything focused. And the best way to do that is you look inside yourself and just go for what you already know, and don't let your mind drift into anybody's eyeball.
Okay.
You know, just look out there, look at the top of their heads, or look at the back of the wall, and smile and make it look like you're looking at somebody, but don't do the eye contact. At least that's worked for me.
Okay. So the band Southern Comfort, you know, growing up on the East Coast, it seems to me that I heard the name Southern Comfort, and it seems to me that I vaguely recall seeing an album cover at a party one night. So did you guys tour the East Coast, or where did you go?
Never toured the East Coast. I got hired out of my band in California, called California, out of Santa Barbara, by the Southern Comfort Band, and we had an agent named James Van Winchester out of Tyler, Texas, and he had us come out there and had us lined up with gigs. We were playing at Billy Bob's, Mo Bandy's Cowboy Country, Gillies. We went out there already under contract with Van Winchester, and we cut 2 albums down on Royal Avenue in Dallas. And the only, I can't remember the second album name, but the first one was called The Dog Song. And I wrote a song called Lone Star Beer. It was pretty big on the jukeboxes in the South. And more than likely, one of those albums probably hit the East Coast. I mean,
because it's like I can almost see it. I mean, now, admittedly, Southern Comfort was a hobby of mine. I mean, drinking it when I was a teen. But I mean, I do remember an album cover too. You know, I'm sure I do. Yeah.
It's very possible. We had our promo pictures taken at the South Fork Ranch, there where they did the Dallas series. Yeah, with Larry Hagman.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And our promo pictures are from there. I brought those too.
Oh yeah, could I see one?
Yeah. Get out my stashes here. You already know I was a luthier, right? I work and build on guitars.
Yeah, and that just kind of happened naturally along the way. Since you're a musician, you decided you might as well be...
Yeah, I started working on guitars back in my early guitar days. I actually put together a guitar because I couldn't afford one at the time, so I built my own.
Wow.
With a Mosrite body and a Fender Strat neck and some Seymour Duncan pickups, and made my own guitar. And from then I started getting more and more into the craft, and I started doing stuff by hand. And I'd say that's been 45 years.
Wow, that's serious. So do you like? Do you like have a shop or something? Can people bring their instruments to you? Or
I used to be the guitar doctor here in the area.
Oh, okay.
And but yeah, I've had I had a 1947, I think, Gibson acoustic guitar sent to me from Anchorage, Alaska, because someone had crushed the side of it. So I rebuilt that guitar. I had it insured for $50,000. They sent it to me.
Wow.
But that's my band, California. Oh, that's Chubby Knuckle. But somewhere in this mishmash of stuff is me in a.
So Chubby Knuckle, that was the name of another group, or?
Yeah, that's the group I started with my younger brother over in Central Oregon. Somewhere there's an envelope right here that has me in the shop working on a Gibson SG right there.
Okay.
And I used to do work in Brookings at the Banana Belt Music before they folded. And that's me with the Southern Comfort Band there at South Fork Ranch.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I swear, man. Yeah.
Can you see my perm?
You look great. You know, yeah, see, that's the look that I remember from an album cover.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I must have seen it then.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's why I really wanted to see that picture.
Well, in those days, you know what? It depended on how you played, how people liked you. You didn't have to wear flashy suits or anything like that. We got up and played in Levi's and flannel shirts, and we had no problem entertaining people. We didn't have to, dance around and do crazy things. It was more or less what you sounded like, which is where I would wish it would be right now. I wish it was back to music.
How do you feel the music industry has changed over the years? And
oh, it's so different. It's so different. Like, it used to be comfortable, and to me it was inside of me, and it was just a way of projecting, your thoughts and your ideas, and you just work real hard at making it sound good, and the audience was receptive. I mean, the audience would pick up on that. Whereas now it's nothing personal about it anymore. It's everybody trying to sound like everybody else. It's what's the fad now. And I rarely see any talent. I see a lot of learned stuff, dance steps, the choreography, the costumes. It's almost like it's a circus now instead of a performance. Whereas a circus is a performance too, but I mean, it's not really solely the music anymore. And I say that if you are a music connoisseur, you listen to the music, say that the Allman Brothers or Leonard Skinner, all those musicians correlating a sound and making it sound so good, and everybody doing something different, yet it all meshes. Whereas today, there's none of that. Everything seems to me, it feels like it's programmed. There's nothing personal anymore. Which, I don't know. There still are, some of the country western stars still definitely have that flavor where it's personal. You can tell they're actually feeling what they're doing.
okay.
And but I'd say mainstream music has lost that whole conception.
So just in my own way of interpreting what you said, kind of like a lot of what's going on today is just kind of prefab, pour it out of a box, as opposed to something you can feel coming from the artist's heart.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd say it's pretty much what the studio executives want down, because that's how they're going to make the money. And they pretty much manipulate the sound for, I'd say your age is probably between 14 and 18 years old of the most music bought. And what's going on right now musically. It's more or less a fad. The whole thing is just what's hip now. Whereas you yourself, you've heard some of the stuff my grandfather played back in the big bands. That music stays with you for your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you what Cyndi Lauper did, or Lauper,
Yeah.
because it's just not the same thing. Whereas the music back in the day was written to remember. Something you carried with you. All of us have no problem humming something from the Beatles, because you can tell it's fine musicians that put it together. Whereas the stuff you can turn on the radio, right now and hear today's music, I'd say most of it doesn't sound like it came from any person or their talent. It's more or less been slammed together by studio execs to make money.
Do you have any favorite artists from the present day?
The present day?
Yeah.
Well, it'd have to be Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really appreciate Elton John for his talent.
You know, that's funny. I was thinking of Elton John.
Yeah, he's a fine artist. And, I don't know. Just, if you ask me somebody from this genre right now, I would say that I can't think of anybody.
Do you listen to much from what's going on these days, or is it just like, oh my God, please turn that off?
I'm probably say I'm pretty guilty for turning it off.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is some stuff that I can still listen to something. If it's catchy and it's got an idea in the song, I'll listen to it. You know, and I don't know. It's just I'm biased. My feeling is I was actually lucky enough to live at a time and perform at a time when it was music that I liked.
Yeah,
it was. And your blues and stuff from art, I'd say anywhere from the 50s up to now had never lost the flavor. It's still good in my book. I love it. And our rock and roll back in my day was pretty much based on that. Mm-hmm. It was pretty much just kicking blues in the butt is all it was doing.
Mm-hmm. So actually, so far out of your musical history to date, what would you say are 3 of the most memorable experiences you've had?
Okay,
does anything leap out at you?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay, one of the ones that's most memorable is the one where I got the stage fright.
Yeah, that would do it.
That was a very strong one.
Yeah, I won't forget that one, and I wasn't even there.
I got to play at Billy Bob's and open up for the Mandrill Sisters.
Okay.
And the whole thing of coming up into the back of the place, and they opened up the big giant back door, which is the back of the stage. And you bring in your equipment, they shut the wall behind you, you set up your stuff, and then the front of it opens up and you're on stage, you're ready to play.
Wow.
And there are 4 or 5 bands doing this every night. There's 3 different stages in there, and the bars are carts that go out around and bring you booze. And that was, and an indoor rodeo. That was all, wow, that blew my mind. And my mom, she was in Santa Barbara and got multiple sclerosis, so I moved her up to Bend to a convalescent hospital. And I went in there and played a concert for her just before she died.
Wow.
And that's one of the most amazing and best memories I have of my mom and playing music and being able to do it for her.
Yeah, holy cow, that's huge.
She only saw me perform maybe 3 or 4 times in her life, and that was a biggie.
Yeah, definitely.
Just seeing her face, she couldn't really move, but just seeing her face, she knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm. And so there were other
patients. Oh yeah,
patients
the whole hospital was there.
Wow,
it was quite something.
That's pretty huge.
Yeah,
pretty special. You actually got to do that too.
Yeah, I also got to play a concert in Lompoc at the federal prison.
Yeah,
when Chuck Berry was in there doing time for I guess it was tax evasion or something, and you had your alderman in there from Whitewater, and he is doing some time there, and we went in and did a concert, and it was simulcast live on KCSB in Santa Barbara, the UCSB college station, and it was simulcast, and that was a big to-do because I had a humongous audience and nobody could leave.
Yeah, I mean, that's the original captive audience, for sure. Yeah. And you even had the famous people in there, too.
Yeah, it was pretty far out.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. Is Chuck Berry still around? I mean,
Chuck, I don't know if he's still alive or not.
Because I got a feeling that's a concert he'll never forget. Or never.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know. I didn't get to meet him, which would have been great.
Well, I'm sure he was thinking, I really want to meet this guy.
Yeah.
Probably was even wishing he could go home with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or anybody.
Yeah, or anybody. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did get a microphone stolen from that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You mean you were doing it in the prison and somebody actually stole your microphone?
Yeah, one of the prisoners that was helping us do the setup in there, I think, clipped it, and God knows where it went.
I don't know. Maybe Chuck Berry got it.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of funny. I mean, probably wasn't funny at the time, but Chuck Berry ended up with your microphone. Nothing against Chuck Berry. It might not have been, anything to do with him. I was just saying that because, I love Chuck Berry. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Are you still performing these days?
I'm performing now with my better half, Joan Warren, and we have a band called Hard Rain, and actually we got a promoter coming up to hear us tomorrow. We're going to have some Chinese food with him and play some music.
Yay!
And
nice.
Try to get Joan's songs out there and sold, because she writes beautiful music, and it would be great to see somebody that was a star right now take one of those songs and to take it over the top.
Okay, so you've got somebody going to interact with you tomorrow. So are you guys doing like concerts or parties or anything like that? Would anybody be able to get a hold of you if they wanted to, hire you for some music or?
Probably.
Just call us.
Yeah, just give us a call, I guess. We haven't played since 4th of July, and that was over in Cave Junction.
Okay. So I'll interject some music into this interview, and if anybody decides after hearing that they would like to hire this group, just get in touch with me at KFUG Radio here in Crescent City, and I'll match everybody up. Also, if you just joined us, this is The World According to Pleiades on KFUG Radio in Crescent City, California, and I'm interviewing Sean Russell, and we have right over here Joan Warren, and their group right now is, as you've just heard, called Hard Rain. Yeah, I love that name.
We're folk rock with a twist. Yeah.
Folk rock with a twist.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's nice, beautiful folk rock, but every once in a while we'll put a little punch in there, in the music.
Speaking of punch in the music, I've got a note here that says you ended up going through 3 windshields. What the heck's all that about?
Oh,
not all in one night, I hope.
No, that's my Irish luck. The first truck I had on the ranch there in Santa Barbara, I just was driving down the road one Sunday afternoon, and there was a bunny rabbit in the middle of the road, and I decided that I was going to swerve and miss the bunny rabbit. Well, I front wheel of my pickup truck caught the gravel berm of the road and took me right into a eucalyptus tree, and out the windshield I went.
Whoa.
And then...
but the bunny rabbit lived.
The bunny rabbit lived.
Okay, good.
And the second one, I just got done playing in Dallas, 3 o'clock in the morning, going down the LBJ freeway with my sound man, and we hit a Pinto station wagon at about 75 miles an hour that was parked in the fast lane with the lights off and the hood up. We never even saw it. A girl had run out of gas and walked up the side of the ice plant to go get gas and put her car in park with the lights off.
Booby trap for real.
Yeah. So I went through that windshield and down the highway a number of bounces and had to have my face completely rebuilt.
Whoa.
And part of my hip is the side of my jaw now.
And oh, my God.
The nerves in my face are out of the back of my right leg. And then over in Central Oregon, when just maybe 5 or 6 years later, I had a little too much wild turkey in Sun River at a friend's studio and drove home and passed out behind the wheel and launched myself 15 feet in the air and cut a ponderosa tree down, and with my dog Buck, and my seat literally came out of the bolts and I wound up on the hood of the car in my seat with my seatbelt on, but through the windshield.
Wow.
So there's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them. And
Yeah,
exactly,
don't drink and drive.
You heard it here.
Yeah.
Well, and how did your dog make out?
Buck was fine.
Oh, good.
Actually, yeah. He went on to forgive me. He forgave me.
Well, I'd like to ask, the way I look at it, as a musician, you're what I call the living expression of the muse. And because of that, it's affected your life. I mean, you've done some things that your average Joe or Mary won't ever do.
Yeah.
And you've also given up some things that the average Joe or Mary take for granted as a regular part of their life.
Yeah.
So as that living expression of the muse, how do you feel that it's affected your life? And if you had it all to do again, would you want to be hooked up that way so that you feel the need? Because I figure there is like a need to play.
Yeah, there is a need. I get a lot of ham bone in me. I mean, I have the urge to perform.
Yeah.
I've had it since I was a little child, obviously. But yeah, there's that, and I'm drawing a blank here right now.
Well, would you ever want to, if somebody said you could do it all again, and you could be like something else, you wouldn't be hooked into the muse, you'd be in a way free to pursue other careers instead of having to feed that sense, that fire that says I have to play music. If somebody said you could be free from that and not be a musician, would you say, let's
No, I wouldn't do that.
No,
I
why?
would never, because the memories are so great and vast and different that I would never be able to experience life itself. If I went to college studying to be an oceanographer, and then later as a veterinarian doctor, and went through 3 or 4 different colleges. But I always stopped it right when I was just really rolling and stuff. I'd go take off and play music again, and I could have done that, and I don't know if I would have been happy though, because going on the road and playing music and meeting all those people, you have a taste of a slice of Americana that you could never get anywhere else. Is you usually meet people in nightclubs or that kind of setting. They're usually very loose, so they have no problem being themselves. And the characters we got in this country are overwhelming, and it's the greatest country in the world, because we have so much diversified human existence in this country, and there is that chance to do what you want to do, and I wouldn't change anything. There's things that I would change that what I did, because the drugs is just a terrible thing. I remember bits and pieces of the 80s, and that's when I was on the road, and I should remember every single bit of that. But I remember a lot of it, but there's some things that I have no clue, even being at this place where I played at, where I have a poster saying that I played there.
Yeah.
And it's because it was the drugs. Yeah, it's the drugs. Yeah.
You feel like you were kind of just on automatic pilot?
Yeah. You know what? In those days, cocaine was running so rampant that everybody and their mother was doing cocaine. And it seems to me like not one night at any club that I ever played at in any state, somebody wouldn't try to come up and put something in my guitar case or have me go in there and snort it with them in the bathroom. But if I had anything to change, I would wish that I had never done that, and I'd never spent the amount of time that I had in my life with my ego.
What do you mean?
Ego is a terrible, terrible animal that can take your honest, true, hard-working ability and ruin it, because you're spending more time trying to outdo somebody else. Or, it's just one of those horrible things I hate. If you never had to deal with your ego, you would never waste all that time going, like, oh, I'm good and I'm great and stuff. But why would you even care? The deal is, oh, that's great, I can do it. It's not how much better I do it than somebody. And it seems like a number of years of my life playing music in those days was all about the how bitchin' I am, and you know, and how bitchin' my band is, and stuff like that, because it's all stupid. And I have heard excellent musicians in every single state in this country, and probably every nationality, and there's great ones everywhere, and there's no one that's the best. There's people that are better than some, but the whole idea about that is to take that and learn from them. You know, it's not to brag about it. And I have met a lot of musicians younger than me that are still ruled by the ego, and I've tried to tell a lot of them, you know what, just get that out of your head. Don't waste your time on it anymore.
Wow, I don't even know how somebody would get away from that. It'd be like the, Zen master guitar player or something.
You'd have to feel secure inside yourself to not let that overtake you. It's like, you know, greed. Greed is a son of a gun. And it's one of the worst faults we have as human beings is our greed problem. But you know what? You can make yourself say, okay, all I need is this. I don't need any more. And if you start living, I think if you start living by, you know what, if I just have enough so I'm comfortable and I don't step on anybody else's toes, that's fine. You know, that's all you really need. And that should make you happy. You don't need to go over there to that guy's house and take what he has to make you feel better or to go buy a newer car than his. Because none of that matters. In the long range, if you're comfortable and you have something to eat, clothes to wear on your back, and you have a nice guitar and you can afford your strings, you know, be happy with it.
But you had to grow into this space, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, trial and error.
Yeah.
And I wished I hadn't spent so much time with the errors.
Yeah, kind of the, I wish I knew then what I know now.
Yeah, exactly.
How that would have changed my life.
Yeah, I think it would have been lots fuller. Who knows? I might have been some very famous person if I had just not wasted my time.
Wow.
Especially with that nasty, those drugs. But at least I got away from it. A lot of the people that I grew up and played music with, they're no longer with us.
Because
of that fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just
the lifestyle.
Burned right out.
Yeah.
Well, that answers one of the questions here for sure.
I have one other place that I played at that's totally in my memory, and there was a huge fire in Santa Barbara back in the 70s called the Sycamore Canyon Fire. And there was a lot of houses burnt down, a lot of livestock killed. And Ted Williams, famous American Ted Williams, athlete, he had a house up in Sycamore Canyon, and they had us, our band, then called California, to go up there and play for the firemen and the people that helped put out the fires and stuff. And that was a kick in the head because those people really appreciated us coming up there and throwing a big wing-ding for them. And it was in the paper down there in Santa Barbara, but it's one of the big memories of me was doing something good.
That's awesome.
You know? And to see everybody smiling out there and having a ball, knowing what they all had just gone through. You know. That's and you didn't need to go backwards on there, but I just
no, it's like we can definitely jump around. And as I mentioned, if I get like onto another question when you've got something else you want to share, I definitely want to hear what that something else is. Because you know what? You're the interview. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just the guy with the questions. I can ask my questions all day long, but unless you're there interacting with me, it's just not the same.
Yeah. Well, I'm just lucky enough to be a relative of these great people that are, that are my life. I'm the end product, the end of the line. But I wished I was able to have these amazing things like they had. But my job right now, I guess, in my life is to share them. You know, share what these amazing people did.
Well, you've definitely got what I call a good energy. Sitting here speaking with you, you just feel like a good guy.
Okay, I try to be.
I think you're succeeding on that. So you did answer one of my questions, or what are some of the pitfalls? I think you've elaborated on that.
Yeah,
pretty good. Now I've heard that the music industry is full of piranha and vultures and people who'll just use somebody up, take what they can, and then throw them away.
Yeah.
I'm figuring that's probably very true.
Yeah.
Do you know any artists that come to mind that fall into that category? People that you feel like really could have done something, but they were abused by the system, or? Does anybody come into your mind that you knew personally?
No, not that I knew personally. Okay. Well, no. I got to meet and work with Marvin Gaye, and there was a extremely talented man, you know, and he got drawn into the drug thing, the whole thing, the fast life in Hollywood, which will eat you up. If I was still down in Hollywood, I probably wouldn't be here because the lifestyle's so fast and so reckless. But yeah, it's the fast living. The piranhas are the studio execs, or the people that have the power to make you or break you. Will ask favors of you. You can use your imagination for that. But if you do not, like, well, back in the day, if you were to not go along with a lot of the crap that they tried to lay on you, you would be blackballed out of the industry, because there are a few people that have the power. Yeah. And if you don't do things their way, you won't get another chance.
That's just it.
Yeah. And that's sad.
And because, please.
There is so much amazing talent out there in the world that no one's ever even going to hear, because of the people that are in control won't bring them forward, won't give them a chance. And, you know, I appreciate stuff like the America's Next Star, or whatever
those shows,
yeah, X Factor, stuff like that. But then again, you know, a lot of those people is what's clicking now, what's happening now. And you know, I've heard some truly amazing voices, and seeing acts on those shows where these people are just out. They're out because of some crazy thing, like they can't do all around everything, you know, which has nothing to. As far as I'm concerned, if you are a musician, you are a musician. You are not a dancer. You are not a vocalist. You are a musician. You should be judged that way. Okay. You know, not as an all-around, I can do everything, because there's not very many people out there that can do everything. And I don't know. When you see somebody that can dance fantastically, you should judge them on that. And not, well, I don't think you can carry a tune. Well, they probably aren't trying to sing. Like me.
I'm not sure if we're going to go over the time, but what I'll do is I'll edit this later. I definitely want to get some more of these questions in too. And I'm kind of forgetting what time we started, but I know we haven't hit an hour yet. Let's see. Do you feel like it's important to have a manager or an agent?
Yeah. In this day and age, well, back in the 80s, if we didn't have them, we would never even know where we were supposed to be. A lot of stuff in the South, I'd have to play in Dallas one night, and then Lackland Air Force Base the next night, and we're talking 800 different miles, and then be back again across the state, and then, or maybe in Louisiana or Arizona or someplace. If you didn't have someone to take care of that and to keep your stuff together and promote you, you just go fizzle out like a firecracker. You just pop. But the whole thing about having an agent or a manager is, it's got to be somebody you really, really trust, and you can trust your life with. Okay. Because those people can, if they screw up you on any kind of certain job or something like that, the people that hire you only remember what you did wrong. They don't remember what you did right. So you kind of have to have somebody that really keeps their stuff together. But if you are, if you're a good aspiring artist right now, it is very good to have that. Okay. How does someone get a manager or an agent? Is there like... You got to get out and get heard. And then, get out and get heard. Go ahead and, put out some of your music to... There are a number of places in Hollywood and Nashville that will take your material and actually be honest with you and tell you what they think. Always have your stuff copyrighted. For that? Some of them do, some of them not so. There are like honest people out there that actually are looking for talent. Okay. And but what you've got to do is make sure if it's anything original, copyright your stuff, because they'll steal it in a heartbeat. What's the copywriting process like? Oh, it's fairly simple, isn't it? You just if you were to take your music, write it down, have it notarized, and put it in an envelope, date it, and have it sent to you, right back to you, and don't open it, that is considered a copyright because it's dated and it hasn't been opened. If you heard the song on the radio that you wrote, you could go into any, you could take them to court, and then they'll open that up right in the courtroom, and they see that it's dated then, and you're in court then. You obviously wrote the music.
Okay, cool.
Because that has been done, and there has been people that's stolen stuff. I think Joan might have had a couple of her songs lifted because...
Yeah, my mom was a songwriter. She even had stuff stolen.
Yeah. It happens all the time.
Well, what would you say are some danger signals in relation to a bad manager or agent? How can you tell a good one from a bad one? Or is it just you don't know until something happens?
Yeah, that's sometimes is the case. But I'd look at somebody's track record. I'd ask around musicians that have worked with the person. That's how we actually got ours, is we did research to find out about. I've had 3 or 4 different agents in my time, and it was all knowing before I ever even did anything with them where they really stood and what other musicians that worked for them thought about them.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah, because it's really important. Those people can screw you left over and sideways too.
I believe you.
And that all comes to the greed again. It's the greed.
And let's see, another question I have here is, what would you say an aspiring musician should do to actually have a shot at fame? And do you have any marketing strategies that somebody could use? Anything come to mind as a marketing strategy for a musician?
Have an original hook. have something that's unique to you that makes you stand out above everybody else. Is a very good idea. And a lot of this is just pure luck too. Like I said, I've heard so many good musicians over this country that have never made it past their hometown, and it's either that something didn't work right, that they got a bad rep somewhere, or maybe they just didn't try hard enough or didn't want to. There's a lot of people. They're really good out there that are happy enough just to play for themselves,
Okay.
I mean, you have to really want to get out there and have your life turned over upside down if you want fame, because nothing will ever be the same. Me getting out of college and just playing music all the time, I missed having kids at a young age because I couldn't do it at a normal age because I was constantly gone, and I wouldn't have been worth a damn as a father. And I got playing constantly. That's somewhere when I was 48 years old, which is a hell of a late in life to try to start a family. But I did. I raised 2 boys.
Wow.
Well, one of them's passed away a couple of years ago. And my little one isn't little. He's probably taller than I am, and he's got Down syndrome, but he's very special people to me. Good people. To Patty Daniel. And, I don't know. I say a thing about it. Fame is a fickle mistress, and it's fleeting, and it's like having good looks. You got it. Tomorrow you don't. And you.
Would you consider some things as must-dos for success? Like, okay, you've got to do this, or you got to do that, or you got to do that. Anything come to mind along those lines?
Keep that one goal in mind and pursue that one goal. Don't spread yourself too thin. And realize from the gate you're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to make sacrifices.
Thank you for listening to The World According to Pleiades on KFUG Radio in Crescent City, California. If you have any topics you'd like covered, or you feel you have the potential to make a good interviewee, please send your suggestions and or information to KFUG Radio, 270 I Street, Crescent City, California, 95531. Attention, Pleiades. Or email me at radiointerview@myradio.com. moonstar-enterprises.com. That's radio interview at moonstar-enterprises.com. My name is Pleiades Moonstar, and I love you.